Hello again, everybody. Scott Casper, Takedown Media. We stop our trip this week in Tempe, Arizona, and talk with assistant coach for the Arizona Sun Devils. How are you there, Lee Pritts? How are you?
I'm doing great, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm good. There was some folks that said that when the hats changed, as it were, at Arizona State, that perhaps you would leave, but no, in fact, you were the one that stayed as Zeke Jones was brought on. Has that been a good experience for you?
Oh, it's been amazing. And I'll tell you what, when Zeke came in, it was, and that's one of the things we talked about was, he goes, "Hey, we're in a good situation because we have some time to work together before we have to make a decision." And I think what happens a lot of times when a new head coach comes in, they have a preset of what they want to do and how they want to get it done. And something that I've learned from Zeke in a very short period is evaluate the current situation before you start making moves. And we were able to work together for a couple months before we came to, before he offered me a job and before I accepted. And so it was good. We got to learn each other's style a little bit. We got to recruit together. We got to go on the road for some freestyle things together. And so we really got to know each other a little bit before decisions were made, and I think it's a great fit for everybody involved.
As much as we all like Sean Charles as a coach and a person, bringing Zeke Jones in is a completely different look for the program, and he is perhaps one of the more pronounced coaches in the country, having just been the USA Wrestling National Freestyle coach. That brings a certain I think the French words are je ne sais quoi to the program. Does it make it your job as a recruiter? Does it make your job a little bit easier
Well, what makes it easier is, and you know me for a long time, but I'm an 80-hour a week guy or whatever it
or
takes.
more?
And Zeke's the same way, and it's great to be around coaches that are willing to work all day every day. And it doesn't matter, morning, day, night, weekends, 24/7. The guy's willing to work around the clock and he's very motivated. So I think even more than what his name brings in, the best technician and all the other things that have gone through and being the Olympic team coach is his work ethic. His work ethic and his drive to be great is what I think makes recruiting. Recruiting's never easy. It's all about building relationships and, you know, getting out to the kids and let them know that you have a good product. But at the end of the day, it's when you have a staff that's willing to work around the clock. That's that's the key to me to recruiting.
I mean, you and I both know that one of the more difficult things to do is to practice, to rehearse being a champion, as it were. And he has done that. He has practiced. He's been a champion. He's been an Olympic silver medalist, a world champ, a four-time World Cup champ, etc. So having those type of things above and beyond being an NCAA champion, okay, I got to believe that is more of an attractant to a young person that wants to come in and be better than even they know they can be. Yes or no?
Absolutely. I mean, you want to recruit kids that want to be world and Olympic champions. And that's a lot of the kids we're attracting right now are those guys. But just as important as that is character based. So when we're recruiting, the parents are just as eager to find out if we're going to do the right things for them as far as teaching them the characteristics they're going to need to go out into the real world in 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is when their career is over. So it's a combination.
But and that's nothing that's foreign to you either. I mean, wherever you've gone, the recruiting has been elevated. The participation in the sport has elevated. The perception of the team has been elevated, and I think that says an awful lot about you. What are his expectations of you?
I don't know if I've ever asked that. You know, I I don't know if I've ever asked anybody from my whole life what their expectations of me are. I think I spend more time telling people, hey, if I start to overstep my boundaries, let me know because sometimes I don't know. I just take off. You know, I'm very driven to be successful, and and I believe I know what it takes. So sometimes I'll just take off, and I need a head coach as an assistant coach. You don't ever want to overstep your boundaries. So I'll tell them, hey, if I start pushing too hard, let me know. I'm a big boy, so let me know, and I'm not sensitive to the issue. So I don't know if the expectations I put on myself, I believe are higher than what anybody else could put on me.
How important was the time you spent at North Carolina State?
Uh, my time there was critical. Carter Jordan did a great. I really appreciate everything Carter did for me because he allowed me a lot of freedom uh, in a lot of areas of the program, which really helped me grow as a coach. Not
You spent 9 years and two different stints at the University of Missouri. You also worked as an assistant at Old Dominion, but we focus on the University of Missouri and Brian Smith. How important is Brian Smith to the coach you've become?
I mean, he's a huge part of that. I mean, he was my high school coach for 2 years. And so, he's mentored me my whole life, and not just in coaching. And that's the big thing you know, Brian has always been more than just a head coach when I was an athlete, or a head coach and me being the assistant. He's been a friend and a mentor in life. So, you know, I don't know that having a mentor, someone teaching you how to coach, is much different than someone teaching you about life. And that's what I've been fortunate between Brian Smith, Steve Martin, Carter Jordan, Sean Charles, not to mention my coaches with like guys like Willie Gatson. You know, those guys, it was never just about sport, it was about life as well. And, I hear a lot of people talk about the different characteristics of what wrestling has taught them how to be successful in life. Well, when I mention all those people I just mentioned, they taught me as much about life as they have about the sport of wrestling.
So obviously, the athletic department at Arizona State sees a value in you. What kind of support are they giving the wrestling program today, and maybe compare and contrast the kind of support that it got a year or two ago?
A lot of people don't know, a year or two ago, we weren't really supported very well, you know, from a financial standpoint, from, a lot of different standpoints. Uh, and when we got a new athletic director, Ray Anderson, he came in, his first hire, he came from the NFL, and his first hire was Zeke Jones. So we have our president who is very, supports wrestling at a high level. And Ray Anderson came in and said he wants wrestling to win. Bam. And financially, they've done amazing things for us. Which again is giving. There's some startup costs. Anytime you're having a change in program, or a turnover in program, some type of transition, there's some startup costs, and you know they Zeke Jones was very upfront with some of the things he needed up front, and they said, done. We want to win. We want to win at the highest level. So the support financially is great, but I think more importantly, we have recruits on campus. Our administration can't wait to meet with our recruits. Uh, you know,
That's
that's huge.
you gotta believe that's exciting.
Oh, it's exciting. You know, our athletic director now, Ray Anderson, his door is always open, and to me, that's something that I'm sure they have stuff to do that I can't even comprehend. And the fact that his door is always open, I knocked on it and walked in the other day to ask him if I said, "Hey, we got a recruit coming on campus here in 2 weeks. Any chance you can spend 15 minutes with him?" And he's like, "No problem." I said, "Well, the kicker is it's on a Saturday." And he goes,
What time?
"Yeah," and he goes, "Make sure I'm in town, and I'll come in. Doesn't matter what time." And I mean, in that kind of commitment level, that's not a financial commitment, but I think more importantly, that's a personal commitment, and it shows our parents what kind of people are going to be supporting their children and teaching their children for the next 5 years.
We're talking with Lee Pritts, assistant coach, Arizona State. Recently, Chris Pendleton has made the move to be there in Tempe. That was another important step for Zeke Jones. How do you see it?
He's awesome. And I've known Chris over the years, but it's different when you bump into each other, and talk to each other at tournaments, and he's been here for, I don't know, 3, 4 weeks now. And again, I was talking about how Zeke Jones will go 80 hours a week, and I'll go. And Chris jumped right in with us. He's same thing. He's all day, every day. And again, so now you start adding up all those man hours, and good things are happening. So yeah, he's a go-getter. Obviously, he's very knowledgeable about the sport, and very passionate, and brings a lot to the table.
I go back to your time at Eastern Michigan University, where at 118, the then recognized weight class of 118, you were 3 times appearing in the NCAA championships, earning All-American honors in '96. You look back upon those accomplishments and that excellence that we saw on the mat. Is that easy to coach? Is that easy to teach? Or do you lead by example more than anything?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, when you think, my mindset's a little different there, Scott. I look at it. There's 80 All-Americans a year.
Pretty rare.
Yeah, I look at it the other way. The goal is to be the champion where there's 10 of them. I think there's 80 of them. I say that's a lot of them.
Mm.
So and so for me, being an All-American was never a big thing. It didn't mean a whole lot to me as a person, because what it meant to me was I didn't accomplish my goal. And so it kept me, I continued to be driven to win a national championship, and that was really what I wanted to do. And I did the best I could with the knowledge I had at the time. But I think over the years and the people that I've been surrounded by, my knowledge has grown so much. And so teaching it and leading by example, they go hand in hand. We continue to grow, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned from my athletes. It's not even something that I've taught them. Is I've learned from guys like Ben Askren and the Michael Chandlers of the world, and the Tyron Woodleys of the world, and I can go on and on about all those guys that have showed me how they've opened their minds and continued to progress, and never said that there's only one way to do it. And so I think the biggest thing we have to teach as coaches is progression and opening your mind to continue to grow as a person on and off the mat.
All right, I'm going to go through a list of people that you either recruited and coached, or recruited and assisted along the way in some way, shape, or form. And the first thing that comes to mind, they don't have to be long answers, just first thing that comes to mind when I say the names. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, first one up, Max Askren, 3-time All-American, NCAA champ, Missouri.
Max Askren finds ways to get the job done.
Scott Barker, 2-time All-American, NCAA runner-up.
Absolute freak. In a good way.
I'd say that's true. Yeah. 2 different weights there, 84 and 97. Which was he better at?
97.
Okay. Matt Pell, 2-time All-American, 2005 and 2007, coaching now.
Aztec Warrior. Says it all.
I think that's a brilliant observation. We just finished an interview with the funky one, Ben Askren, the ONE FC champion.
He's the one person on this planet that no man can ever doubt.
And I'll ask you a follow-up. Why do you say that?
Well, when he came I remember him coming into Missouri as a freshman, and being in tears, going, "Man, I'm not fast and I'm not strong. How am I going to win at this level?" And he figured it out. He figured it out. He had some help along the way with guys like Mike Eierman, and I mean, obviously, there's a million people that have touched him, but it's his drive and it's his openness, his mind. And so he goes on and does what he does. 4-time finalist, 2-time Hodge Trophy winner, 2-time champ. And then all of a sudden, he goes on, and 1 year out, was on the Olympic team, made the transition. I said, "Oh, his style can't transition." He made the transition, made it to the Olympic team. And then I remember when he said he was going to be a fighter, and I was like, "A fighter?" I was thinking, you got slow hands, slow feet, and a big chin. That doesn't make for a good fighter. And was I ever wrong? I mean, you look at what's he, 14-0, 13-15-0, something like that, and has a couple different belts. And, I mean, and then disc golf. I mean, I get it. It's disc golf, but he was one of the best in the world at disc golf. Picked it up in college and became one of the best in the world. So it's like if he says and he has his mindset to do something, you can't ever doubt it. No matter how off the wall you think it is, you can never doubt it because he figures out a way to get the job done.
Raymond Jordan, the only man to have ever broken my ribs, two-time All-American and a coach.
He's special. He's a very special person. Uh, I mean, I can go on and on about Raymond Jordan and from his childhood to watching him become, grow up and become a man. Guys, that guy is a special person.
He's a good man. Jeremy Spates, All-American and assistant coach at Cornell University, now the head coach of a program of his own at the University of Southern Illinois at Edwardsville.
Work ethic. Jeremy has an unbelievable work ethic and an unbelievable passion for the sport. So those are the two things. And I really enjoyed my 5 years coaching Jeremy, and we have a lifelong relationship to this day. And tell you what, we've had some great battles over the years, and his work ethic is second to none.
All-American in 2003 and 5, a Strikeforce star, and now in the UFC, Tyron Woodley.
Nails, tough as nails. Tell you what, when he came in as a freshman, I remember us going through every day after practice. We did, it wasn't much. It was like 25 or 50, maybe 25 or 50 single leg finishes. And he fought me for the first month, and by month 3 or 4, he's like, "Are we still going to do single leg finishes?" I said, "Yeah," because every time I see you wrestle, you touch everyone's legs all day, every day. Now when you touch them, where are you going to finish? And I remember him, I don't know, it was a year maybe after his college career was over, he came up, he goes, "Coach, if I touch someone's leg, they're not getting it back." So it was just, that was pretty special to have him come
And a
up and say that.
talented and growing fighter, by the way.
And you know what? I tell you what, I mean, just how he's grown as a person has been amazing. And, he gets better and better. I mean, obviously he has great hands, but he's just becoming a great, well-rounded fighter.
Amazing speed. How about a guy that can make a pretty decent sandwich, Kenny Burleson?
Kenny Burleson came in. That first thing that comes to mind, he will not be denied.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the first thing that comes to mind when I remember Kenny is, I think he lost every wrestle off he's ever had, and found a way into the lineup. By mid year, he was always in the lineup. And I remember after his first Big 12, and he didn't qualify for nationals, his first or second, and he was in the locker. He stuffed himself into a locker. I believe we were at Nebraska. This is true. And I watched him sob for hours. And, and I'd go out and coach someone, come back, and he would still be in there, and just, it pained him so bad. And I was like, this guy right here is one day is going to do so. I didn't know what it was going to be. And next thing you know, he goes on and becomes an All-American. And, now he's living in California and married, children. I actually saw him about 6-8 months ago. He stopped by the room. He was in town on business, and he came by the room, and he's doing amazing. So, and that's, again, he's a guy just lives his life with passion.
Darius Little, All-American in 2012.
Darius just got hired at Gardner-Webb. So I'm very excited about him. But Darius is unbelievable as a person and great family. When I got to NC State, I remember some people going, "This Darius Little is hard-headed." And I said, "Yeah? What do you mean?" They go, "He's going to fight you on a lot of things." I said, "Oh, perfect." And you know what? It's not that he fought you. He wasn't worried about fighting you on things. He just wanted to know why he was going to do something.
Prove the point.
That's right. And so to me, I think that's a great, I think that's a great character to have. And you know what? He went on to become an All-American, and, now he's coaching. He just got hired at Gardner-Webb, and I'm very excited for him.
Everybody learns differently, and perhaps his was by, can you help me understand why? And there's
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. I ask the question every day. Can you help me understand why? Heavyweight, Mark Ellis, All-American in '09 and 10. He's a Missouri coach now, but 2009 he was able to climb to the top of the box. Mark Ellis.
Mark Ellis, I think people forgot to tell him he was a heavyweight.
Yeah.
You know, but he worked like a 25 pounder. He scrambled like a 25 pounder, and I remember I was trying to teach him how to wrestle like a heavyweight. And that was probably the biggest challenge. And once he learned that, uh, he really took off. And then obviously, if you look back to his finals match, he got to the finals by snatch singles and running to legs and running to legs and outworking people to run to legs. And then in the finals, he used the stuff that, his scrambling and his work ethic. And so, Mark Ellis is, he was definitely dynamic and with his abilities.
All right, the final name as we draw the interview closer to a close than when we started, obviously 20 some minutes ago. Final name, All American in 2009. He became the Bellator lightweight champion when everybody questioned his idea of what becoming a champion might be. But when I bring up the name Michael Chandler, what comes to mind?
There's no man on the planet that'll outwork him. Uh, he's one of the toughest people I know. He loves to be challenged. He loves to work. Uh, I almost think that he likes taking abuse too much because he likes to show everyone how tough he is all the time. And I mean that in a positive way. But let me tell you, that guy, I have so much respect for him because he will go, you talk about a guy that thrives off of work ethic and thrives off punishing himself. That's a guy right there that, I mean, he drives me. I get excited watching him work. He will push himself to limits that very few men are willing to go through.
Will we start seeing the effects of the new coaching staff? Will we start seeing the effects of the youngsters coming into the room this season, or are we still a year away? Or what are your expectations of the new look Arizona State Sun Devils?
Well, last year we had a team full of sophomores. This year, we have a team full of juniors, and we've had a few transfers come in that we believe are going to, make an impact. And when I say that, it's going to create competition. And anytime you have competition in the room, you're going to watch those weight classes elevate. So, where are we going to be? I don't know, Scott. I'm not a guy that really makes predictions. I can tell you that there's going to be a consistency within our staff. There's going to be a consistency within our athletes and our administration as far as doing the right things. And anytime you have consistent work ethic and consistent discipline, you're going to make progress. So, how far, how good, I can't answer that right now. I just can answer that we will be at it, using science, using knowledge, and of course, our back a little bit too. Got to put that work in. But we're going to use all aspects of the program to really set the foundation for the future.
What do they say? You got to put your back into it, right?
That's right.
ASU Wrestling. Look for them on Twitter, ASU Wrestling. Look for them on Facebook. Look for them online at thesundevils.com. Select Wrestling. Fans, now's the time to get behind this new look team. The Sun Devils will be back. I can guarantee you that under head coach Zeke Jones and this man right here, Lee Pritts. Lee, it's always good to talk to you. I appreciate the time today. And hopefully we've opened up some eyes, perhaps some ears to the future of what will become the new Sun Devils of Arizona State.
Well, I appreciate it, Scott. Can I ask you a question now?
Yes, sir.
How many years is this for you with Takedown Radio?
17. Thank you. 17 years.
17 years.
Yeah.
And
who would have thought?
You just keep getting stronger, huh?
I think I am. I'm working out harder. Oh, you're talking about the show.
The show. I've watched the progression over the years, and it's pretty awesome.
I appreciate that, bud. I love this sport much like you and every coach out there and every athlete that's in it. I think my job is to promote it to the best of my ability, and I do it every single day as much as I possibly can. And it's an honor, believe me. It's an honor to be able to speak on behalf of the sport for guys like you.
How do you fit it all in with the what do you do, motocross and basketball and
It all revolves. You know what? Everything else
football
revolves
arena.
around the wrestling schedule. I don't care if it's arena football. I don't care if it's NBA basketball, racing. It doesn't matter. It all revolves around the wrestling schedule first and foremost. And from there, it's like a wagon wheel. Everything comes out. There's nothing that really gets put ahead of wrestling. Even my family understands it. They know it's a sickness, an illness, and so be it. I'm one sick puppy. But
We all got it.
at the end of the day, it's something we all have a great need to be a part of. We love this sport, and it's come a long way in the last 17 years, and thankfully so. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the fact that we as a sport have grown, and I think we're in a stronger position today than ever before, and it's up to us to be able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, well, I want to thank you for all you do for the sport.
That's kind of you. I appreciate that, buddy. I don't think anyone's ever stopped an interview and asked me a question.
I want you to see how it feels.
Well, in that case, I appreciate that. I was rather uncomfortable there for a moment. I think I will survive, though. It's always good to talk to you, Lee. Thank you very much for the time and the question. I appreciate that. And give our best to everybody at Arizona State.
I got you. Thanks, Scott.